Hello, everyone. My name is Jane White, and I am the Library Success Manager for Above the Treeline. Above the Treeline is the company that gives you Edelweiss. I'm here with Rebecca Vnuk from LibraryReads, and today we're going to talk to you about doing reviews, how to do reviews, and things about LibraryReads. And I'm going to kick it off to Rebecca.
Great, thank you so much, Jane. So if you are a regular LibraryReads user, you're familiar, I hope, with the fabulous annotations that appear on our list every month. Now, what you might not realize is those annotations are courtesy of library staff across the United States who use Edelweiss to vote for their LibraryReads titles. Anyone who votes has the opportunity to write an accompanying annotation. Now, we know that some folks just use Edelweiss to keep track of what they're reading for themselves. So they write annotations that are just, meant for themselves, like liked this book, put on mystery shelf, etc. But many users take the opportunity to write a nice, robust annotation that could be selected for inclusion on the LibraryReads list. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why those are so important and how you can easily do them. So you don't have to write an annotation with your vote, but we absolutely appreciate it when you do, because after all, that's what makes our list so special. We get a report from Edelweiss of all the annotations, and someone handpicks them for every list. So as you know, our list looks a little bit something like that. Every single one of those annotations has been submitted by a library staff member. They vary from month to month. We do have, I should give a special shout out to those people who appear a lot on our list. We do have some real superstar writers that write a lot of annotations for us, but we're looking for anybody who writes something great about a book that we can use for our list. So I'm going to take you through some steps, just where to add your annotation, and then give you some hints and tips on how to craft those annotations so they have a good chance of being selected for our list. Now, Jane is going to go through the Edelweiss screens when I'm finished, but I did want to show you really quick, anytime you're in a record that you are looking at the book or you're downloading it, right there at the bottom, there's that little word bubble with the 3 dots. That's where you rate and review the title. So that's where you do your LibraryReads voting. Make sure you're aware of that. When you open that, it looks like this. You have a chance to rate the title on various aspects. You can give whatever numbers you're looking for there. And then right in the middle is where you can write your review. Write it in there. Make sure that off to the right, you're clicking that LibraryReads box, and then make very sure that you are hitting save at the bottom. That is how we get that. So talking specifically about annotations, the first thing to keep in mind is that we're pretty restricted in terms of how long the annotations can be. We ask people to aim for a 280 character limit, or think in terms of like 4 to 6 lines of text. This is because our list is a 1-page PDF. When we have Hall of Fame winners, it goes into a 2nd page, but the main top 10 we like to keep to 1 page so that you can easily use it in your libraries as a printout, as a display copy. So we're a little restricted on how long they can be. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't write longer, and I will let you in on the trade secret. We prefer it when you do. It's always easier for us to cut an annotation down to fit the print box than it is to try and add something that you haven't set. So feel free to make it longer, but try to aim for maybe that 4 to 6 lines worth of text. Keep the following things in mind when you're writing for publication. First of all, Reader's Advisory appeal terms. I have 2 slides about that in just a minute. Think about what sort of reader would enjoy this book and describe it so that they could find it in your library. What's special about it? Is it a debut? Everybody always likes to know that. Is it good for book clubs? Those are great keywords that people use on our site to search a lot. Is it good for fans of the genre or maybe someone new to this author? Let us know those kinds of details. Are there other titles or authors that you could compare it to? Read-alikes are strongly encouraged. However, we also do those for you if you haven't given us any read-alikes. We work with our friends over at Novelist. They give us read-alikes for every title, and our editors also will try and find read-alikes. So don't worry if you can't find something, but boy, it's really meaningful if you personally have a book that you liked and want to compare it to, put that in there. We would love that. My biggest hint for everyone is take a look at our past lists to get a sense of how long these annotations should be or what the content should be and the style that we aim for. I would say especially like the last 2, maybe 4 years, we've really upped our game. We have a whole team of board members who work together to edit these, and we've really tried to polish them and put a professional spin on them. So definitely go back and take a look at what those are and sort of aim for that. Now, I always tell people, write conversationally. None of this is formal at all. It is super casual. Write as though you're talking to a patron about a favorite title or talking with a colleague about, hey, you should read this book. But there are a couple of things what not to do. Avoid personal statements. If you say stuff like, I loved this book, or you will love this book, that's great. That's wonderful enthusiasm. And it's fine if you're keeping your own notes on a book, but in a professional annotation, it doesn't quite cut it. People need something a little bit more than that to know why they should be interested in this book. Try to avoid meaningless or overused words. Everything can't just be great. I mean, of course, these books are great. They made the library reads list, but tell us a little bit about why they're great. Don't assume that the reader knows anything already about this book, author, or genre. So if you're looking for something to compare it to, give us a different author instead of saying, this is just like their previous series, because a reader might not know about that. And a big thing to remember, do not forget, Library Reads is for adult titles only. We do see some things come through sometimes, annotations for young adult books or youth materials, and we have to just scrap those right out. So make sure that you're annotating your adult titles. And then I wanted to remind people to watch those publication dates. The due dates for Library Reads votes are the first of the month, 1 month before a book's publication. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. So Jane had shared with me one of the authors that she follows online, Elisa Kova, put out these tips in her email newsletter. And when we were putting this together, Jane shared it with me, and I thought, oh my gosh, she should be writing Library Reads annotations. These are exactly the kind of tips that we talk about, and the annotation that she's got there at the bottom is like a perfect size for a Library Reads annotation. So I almost feel like emailing Elise and saying, hey, are you a librarian perhaps? Would you like to write some Library Reads annotations? So she has a formula for good short reviews. Her first sentence is, did you or didn't you like the book? Now, of course, being Library Reads, we're hoping you did like it, and that's why you voted for it. The second sentence should be why you liked the book. And then the third sentence should be, who would you recommend it to, or why would you recommend it? So she's got an example at the bottom there that she wrote for Naomi Novik's Uprooted. And she's just got, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3 lines worth, very quick. And yet she says a lot in those 3 lines. I thought that was really perfect. And then at the very bottom, I sort of edited it really quick because one of the things that she does is one of our no-nos, which is the, I adored this book. That's great. I'm so glad you adored it. But how can we change that around to sort of take the I language out? And so I did a little edit at the bottom there. I'll let you take a look at that for just a moment. So appeal, I talked about appeal earlier, and if you have had any reader's advisory training, you know what appeal is, you've heard of it, you use it, but maybe a lot of you have not had this. So let's talk about what appeal is when we talk about books. So appeal factors have been made famous in the reader's advisory world by the likes of Joyce Sarix, Neil Wyatt, and Novelist. Appeal factors are basically elements that readers connect with to help describe the reading experience. And so to help yourself, use the language of appeal in your annotations. For example, these are the official novelist appeal factors. When they're talking about things that people enjoy about what they're reading, they're talking about these items: the pace of the book, the storyline or the plot, the tone, which is also sometimes called mood, the writing style, and what the characters are like. These are things that even if people have not read about this or have been taught, your average reader, if you say something to them about the pace of the book, they will know what you're talking about. If you ask them what kind of writing style they like, they will know what you're talking about, even if they have not had any sort of reader's advisory training, which if there are patrons, they probably have not. So going a little deeper into those. So when you're talking about them, you sort of need to just pick descriptive words that will help people figure out what it is that they liked about the book. Was the storyline action-packed, for example, or maybe it's issue-oriented? How about the pace? Was it fast, leisurely, intense? The tone or mood of the book? Was it atmospheric or moving? Maybe it was quirky and offbeat or funny. The writing style, was it gritty, hard-boiled detective? Maybe it was lyrical and literary. If it's nonfiction, was it journalistic style? And then characters. We all have hundreds of words we can use to describe characters: sassy, authentic, unreliable. All of these things that people sort of hear and go, yes, that's what I love. I really love unreliable narrators, for example. That's a good kind of term to use to get someone excited about a book. So here is an example of a recent annotation. I picked this one because it was very concise and gave me everything that we always look for. So first of all, you can see brief description of the plot at the beginning, which gives the reader just enough to go off of. No spoilers, please, but enough to let them see what the book is about. And then the annotation ends with the type of story that it is, the themes, and then some author read-alike suggestions. So this was a really good one. The next one, this is another good one. Now you will see very obviously at the start, it's longer. Now, we do have the flexibility to make our top pick titles longer annotations. If you're familiar with the list, it is a top 10, but the number 1 book is the book that gets the most votes out of those 10. And we sort of elevate it a little bit and celebrate it just a little bit more. And so that one, we have room to give it some more words in the annotation. So what I like to suggest to people is, again, if you write it longer for us, that is great, because we don't know ahead of time, of course, what the top pick is going to be. You certainly won't know what the top pick is going to be. We don't know that until the list comes out. However, if you're writing something that is longer and it ends up being the top pick, then that's awesome for us because we have the room for it. Let's say this was going to be not the top pick. That is fine, because we just could have taken out maybe 2, 3, 4 of those sentences in the middle. And again, as I said, it's easier for us to take things out than it is to put it in. You can see here in this nice annotation, though, there is an inviting plot description, definitely looking at the themes of this book and the appeal factors. And then we've got our suggestions of read-alike titles. So that is a perfect annotation there. Now, there's just some important things to wrap up, important things to know about how we use your annotations. We do reserve the right to edit annotations for publication, and we do need to confirm your U.S. Public Library employment prior to publication, because we do put your name and your workplace on those annotations to give you proper credit. So we will be reaching out to say, hey, we've chosen your annotation. Want to make sure you still work here, want to make sure you're fine with us using your full name, and here's the edit that we've done. So a member of our editing team will reach out to each chosen annotation to confirm that and obtain approval of edits. And as I mentioned earlier, we do also add read-alikes when needed. Now, sometimes, in order to fit our size for that month, sometimes our editors do a pretty heavy annotation job. And I just want to make sure nobody feels insulted by that. Please remember that it's to confirm, it's to sort of make it conform to all of the other annotations that match that month. So if you gave us something that was really long and we cut it way down, please don't think that we didn't like what you wrote. We're just trying to make it conform and look all kind of, match on the page there. You also have the right to say, hey, you know what? I don't like those changes you made, so I'd rather you don't use it. Now, that hardly ever happens. I think maybe that's only happened once even. So just please know, don't take it personally. Just know that we're editing it for publication. The other thing to know is that annotations that we use in the monthly list, they do become property of Library Reads to appear on our website. They appear on printed materials, our social media feeds, and other communications. And they may also appear on publisher communications. Our publisher friends get so excited every month when this list comes out, and they like to share their winning books on social media and in their email lists. So oftentimes they'll like to say, look at what these library folks are saying about our books. So they will appear in other places. And that is really about it from me. I would encourage you to please tell other staff members at your library about Library Reads, encourage them to submit their votes, encourage them to write annotations. And if you have any questions on anything Library Reads related, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm at rebecca@libraryreads.org, and I always love to hear from our users. So I am going to go ahead and hand the mic back over to Jane, and she can take it away.
Thank you, Rebecca. So I'm going to switch over to Live Edelweiss and show you a couple ways to find those great books that you're going to be doing your reviews on for Library Reads. So this is, your homepage might look something like this. I wanted you to know, first off, a couple things that's going to make it more likely for you to get approved for digital review copies, as well as how to find those specific books that you want to review. So chances are, if you're listening to this, you have an Edelweiss account. You're going to want to go up into your profile and go to your profile and account. And on this page, just make sure under your profile that you have 2 or 3 bullet points that identify you and what kind of reach you have. For example, here's a sample profile that, I'm a young adult librarian at a medium-sized library in the Midwest. What's the population you serve? What kind of responsibilities do you have? How many people are you reaching? Are you doing book talks? Putting your links to social media here by clicking on the little pencil and just putting those links in are all really great things to be able to do, because what happens when you request a book from from the digital review copies, all of this information gets sent with your request. And 9 times out of 10, the librarian requests will get approved, particularly if you are a member of a public library account. Rather than just your own name. If you're not a member of your public library account, you can either send an email to support@abovthetreeline.com or myself, Jane@abovthetreeline.com, and we can move you over to that account. So if your account just has your name on it and it doesn't say that you're a member, say, of the Ann Arbor Public Library District, then just let us know and we can always move you to the main account. So definitely something that you're going to want to do. The next thing that you're going to want to do is start to set up some saved filters. By clicking on this little funnel, it will launch the saved filters. The reason is that there's 1.2 million books in Edelweiss, and you're going to want to find those that are just the ones that are relevant to you, rather than having to comb through a bunch of books that you may not be interested in. So you click on the funnel, you click on Add New Filter. You can either look for books by publisher. Say, for example, you always want to see the new Abrams books when they come out. You just click the plus sign next to Abrams. And you can see now that instead of 1.2 million books, I'm down to 5,335 books that are on Edelweiss. You can add a publication date delimiter so that you can say, I just want to see front list, or front list is generally the last 2 years, backlist more than 2 years old. You can say, I want to see anything from Abrams starting today and looking out 1 month, or you can maybe go out 2 or 3 months. So if I go out 3 months now, I'm only down to 108 books. You can also do specified time periods. So for example, if you wanted everything that's just going to have a publication date within this calendar year, you can just select the dates and put that down. So I'm just going to say starting today and looking out 3 months. Then you're going to name it something. So I'm going to say Abrams forthcoming, and then you just click on save. Easy to do. What Edelweiss will then do is comb through all those 1.2 million books and just pull up the Abrams forthcoming books that are, anything that has a publication date coming out within the next 3 months. So Edelweiss is catching up on me. It's usually much faster than this. You can also add filters by subject area. So I can go down here and go to subject and say I like fiction books. So again, I can see my 1.2 million books. A lot of these have additional arrows here. So basically, if you want to be more specific, you can click on the down arrow and you can get more specific on a given subject. So if you like all fiction, you can just say, hey, I like all fiction. Or maybe you like all fiction, except you're not particularly fond of alternative history. So I'm going to press the minus to get rid of those. Maybe you don't like anything that's on crime or dystopian. Just minus out the things that you're not particularly caring about. Alternatively, if you only care about specific types of books, rather than just add fiction as a category, you can put a plus sign next to it and it will only pull up those books. So again, I'm now down to 219,000. Edelweiss isn't going to like that. It's going to want you to actually filter down a little more. So I'm going to go put in my publication date starting today and looking out 1 month. And then I should be down to a manageable number. I am 1,713. And then you can say fiction favorites or whatever, and you can click on save. And then again, what Edelweiss is going to do is it's going to comb through all those 1.2 million books to find just those books that hit the criteria that you wanted to look at. You can apply these saved filters in other areas of Edelweiss, but again, this has now picked up the books that are meeting the criteria that I like. You can sort these books so that you can look by the publication date, so the most recent to the oldest, or the oldest to the most recent, by just clicking the sort and then moving the multi-directional arrow in whichever arrow way you want to go. So this looks like it's going from the May books out through that. So you can take a look and do that. For any book that you find that you have read, while I'm here, I'm just going to show you. I can click on this little review like Rebecca showed you. So just to reemphasize that, you can rate a book between 1 and 10. You can do it by category if you want, or you only have to do it by just overall. Then you write a few things here following what Rebecca had said. And then you can choose to share it with the publisher, which I would recommend that all of you do. These are digital review copies. They're provided by the publisher as a courtesy because they want to hear your feedback on these books. So sharing your review with the publisher is always a great thing to do, and kind of a thank you to the publisher for providing you with the book. You can also then check that you want to share this with any colleagues or friends that you have on Edelweiss. You can even check this here to share it with communities, which we'll be going over here. And if I click onto this to share it with communities, what it will do is it will display the communities that you're a member of. And if you tick the box next to it, you can say, okay, remember to click save. And what it will do is it will share your review with that community, as well as the publisher and your friends. You can tag books if you want to, kind of like putting a sticky note just to kind of remind yourself what's going on with that book. Over here on the side, you can refine the results. So I've got my fiction favorites, but I can go down here and as well and say, well, I only want to see books that have downloadable digital review copies available. So I can tick that to further refine what I'm taking a look at. We can also do something which is called honors. Honors is any book that has gotten some kind of a recognition within the book community. So you can actually look to see, was it a book list starred review? Was it any of these? So always a great thing to be able to do. So I have my saved filters, and you can create as many as you want. One caution: if you are a collection development librarian, do not use Dewey to try and find new books. Not every publisher will put Dewey numbers with their books. Some of these books are being published so far in advance that it doesn't have the Library of Congress SIP data available yet. So they don't have Dewey numbers assigned to them. So if you're trying to find things by Dewey number, you're probably going to end up with a lot fewer books than you would if you just chose the general BISAC category. So definitely looking for new books, I would recommend against using Dewey. I mean, you will find some, but you won't find nearly as many as if you use the BISAC categories. So I've got my saved filters, and these little gray boxes are all called widgets, and you can customize your homepage however you want. But what you can do, which is really neat, is the digital review copy widget will show books, any kind of digital review copy, as soon as it's loaded on Edelweiss. And just a helpful hint, I have found that most of the review copies tend to be loaded on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday. I'm not sure why, but that's just usually what happens. So as they're loaded, they're here. So again, rather than you having to flip through all of these to figure out which ones you actually want, what you can do is click on the little gear and click here to set. And then you can either choose one of your own saved filters, or you can use one of the genre filters that Edelweiss has already set up. So if you're a person who happens to like books on photography, you could click on that. Or if you're a romance reader, you can click on this. And what it's going to do now is it's now only going to show the most recently loaded digital review copies that are in the area of romance. So again, you can even apply your own saved filter. So I just clear that if I want to change my filter. And now I'm going to go through and go to my saved filters and say, I want to actually see only my fiction favorites. And you can see now this is a little bit different. So it's only showing those things that are hitting the filter that I wanted it to. To remove a widget, you just click on the X and it will make it go away. To add a widget, you can click on the Add widget. And you can add more than one of the same widget to your home page. So if I click on review copies, I can click and add a second digital review copy widget here so that I can have this one as my fiction favorites. And if I'm the librarian that happens to be responsible for choosing, say, for example, cooking books, now I've got the latest cooking books that have been loaded here, and these are my fiction favorites. The other widget I would recommend that you add is your saved filters. So I can go here and I can put my saved filters right on my home page. So this will be constantly running. I can always go in and click on these to see what's happening as well. The other thing that I'm going to want you to add is going back here, going down to people, and I want you to add communities, because what that's going to do is it's going to show you any of the communities that you have joined, again, making it a lot easier for you to find them. One other quick thing here, to go to the Buzz section, I mentioned that briefly. Buzz is any kind of book that has gotten some kind of recognition within the time period that you set, which you can set right here. So right now I've got this set to the last 3 months. You can change it to any time period that you want to. And one of those honors is Library Reads. So if I go in here, I can look at anything that's gotten an honor in the last 3 months. As you can see, I can apply my saved filters again. So again, if I want to see any romance books that have gotten some kind of recognition, well, I can see Susanna Kersley's got a book. It was actually selected for Library Reads, and you can tell by looking here where it says honors and hovering over the Library Reads logo. This was also selected as an Indie Next book. An example of the honors that we have are Publishers Weekly starred reviews, and Publishers Weekly is the one place where if you click on the star here, it will take you to the full text of the review because of the way that they index theirs, which includes the ISBN here. So you can actually go through there. We do all of the major review sources, for example, Booklist, Kirkus, Library Journal, Hornbook, School Library Journal, etc. If you want to know all of the ones that we follow, I would recommend there's this little question mark here, which is the help screen. Just type in honors here, click on, and you can see all of the honors categories that we track here. So you can see all of those that we put up. But it's a great way to be able to go in here. Again, I can go to refine my results to say, well, I'd like to see any romance books that have gotten some kind of an honor. So I can go down here and see what's happening with them. So great thing to be able to do to, again, find, if you're not sure what you want to read, you can go in here and you can see all of these great books that have gotten some kind of recognition within the book community. So always a great thing. Obviously, you've got your review copy widget, but there's also the review copy lane. And again, you can set this. So right now, as the review copy widget on the first page only showed the ones that were most recently put on Edelweiss, this will show any digital review copy that has been put on Edelweiss within the time period you set. Again, if you click on this, you can set whatever time period you have. Again, I can apply my saved filters here. So I can go in and say, well, I'd actually like to see, I've already set up my fiction, my filter of fiction favorites. So I'd like to see just my fiction favorites. And then this will show you that in the last 3 months, in the categories that I have said, there's been 84 digital review copies that have been loaded. 15 are available to immediately download. 73 are available to request. It will track what kind of requests you've made, so how many you've been approved for, which ones are open requests that the publishers have not responded to yet, where the publishers have declined you, or any that you might have canceled. You can now cancel a digital review copy request. One thing to note here, the digital review copies are on Edelweiss, but we as Edelweiss do not control who gets a digital review copy. That is all controlled by the publishers. Which is why, again, I wanted you to make sure that you've got a really strong review, strong profile to encourage those publicists to be able to approve your request. To request a book, you just click on where it says request. You can say, I want to request a review copy. And as you can see, it's automatically pulling all of the information from my profile, including my social media presence. We'll tell you whether we think your profile is good enough. If it's incomplete, it will say incomplete and it will make you put more stuff on it. And then you just tell them, why do you want this book? If you're interested in acquiring this book, or maybe you're someone who has a blog, you can certainly put it. If you're a person who's a reviewer for something, you can put that as well. And then just 3 or 4 bullet points. Why are you requesting this title? Just because I want it, not a lot of times is a good excuse. So basically saying, I want to consider this for a book talk that we're going to be doing. I'm considering this for purchase for our public library. Once you do that, you click on submit, and then it will be sent to the publisher, who will either approve or not your request. So once you do get approved for a digital review copy, once it's time to download your review copy to your personal reader device, what you can do here is go to the review copies on the library training page. All the information that I've given you is right here, but in addition, it will tell you how to download to various devices. I know sometimes with the iPad, iPhone, and the Android, it's been a little bit difficult. Edelweiss, I have exciting news. Edelweiss is currently working with another company, Blue Fire, to create our own reader device so that you won't have to do Adobe digital editions, and it will make your reading experience so much better. So again, you can just click on whichever one of these that you have. It's usually a one-time, it's always a one-time setup. Once you have something set up, it'll be simply very easy for you to go in and request that book, and it will immediately be sent to your e-reader. So again, I said that we have the ability now to cancel a DRC request. You can go to wherever it's pending, click on that, and then just it will be able to click to cancel the request, and that will cancel the request. So a great thing to be able to do, and then you can download as many digital review copies as you want, and that's a great thing to be able to do. So the other thing that I'm excited about is many of you have started using our new communities feature. So if you click on this little thing that looks like a snowflake, but if you look really carefully, it's a bunch of people holding hands in a circle, that will launch Edelweiss communities. As public librarians, you're automatically all a member of the Edelweiss Library Reads community. As you can see, there's 215 members currently in this community. You didn't have to join, we automatically put you in. Then you can join as many communities as you want. So basically, if you're into fiction, to be able to join the community, you can just click on this little button here, and it will tell you you've successfully joined the community. So I'm going to hop into Library Reads. because there's a few great things that you can do with communities. What you can do is create collaborative lists, or you can post lists that are non-collaborative. You set it when you actually create the list. So I've created the Library Reads 2021, which are the titles that so far this year have been selected as Library Reads. This makes it much easier if you're a collection development librarian to just click on this. It will display all of the titles within this. You can click to say, yeah, I agree, this was a great selection, or nope, don't agree with this one, I didn't really like it that much. You can put comments on these if you want to. But what's great about this is if you click on this, it will export this as a list with the ISBNs and everything. And then what you can do is upload that into your selection things, either if you use Ingram iPage, Brodart Bibbs, or Baker and Taylor. You can just upload those ISBNs, makes it really easy for you to be able to go and get those books. So great thing to be able to have. This list is closed because Library Reads, all of you have voted for it. It's not like anyone can just add to this list. But if you want to say, hey, Library Reads community, I would like to create a list of books that we should consider for the future, or these are the books that I'm reading now, you can certainly just name it something, put in a little description. If you want to publish it, just make sure that this says published. Then you either say yes, others can add to your list, or click that to off, no, others can't add to your list. Ignore this, it's mostly for booksellers, and then just click submit. So there's a great example of a community here in the young adult community, which I joined just now. There is Amplifying Diverse YA Voices that we have here, basically, which was created so that other people can add books to this list. So you can see these are closed, obviously, but this one was created by one of our users. So Star Williams created this, and 18 people have added to this list. So basically I can go into this diverse fantasy list. Again, these would not be eligible for Library Reads because they're a young adult, but you can go in and take a look at what others are recommending. So basically Star put this on the list, and 7 people have said, oh God, yes, I really agree with this. This was a great book. And it will tell you who's voted on it and the community activity that's happening. So a really great feature to be able to go in and take a look at to see what's happening. So again, I've got 20,315 members in Library Reads. Community Buzz is a great way to see what are other people buzzing about. So you'll see these are the books that are more than 3 months out from publication. These are coming out within 3 months. These are new in the last 6 months, and these are new over 6 months ago. So if you look at these, anything that has a hand mean that there's a digital review copy available for request. Anything that has this little cloud with a down means this is a book that's available for immediate download. And the numbers that are in the orange bursts represent the number of reviews and the average rating that a book has gotten. So you can see what people are saying about it. And if you actually click on the book, you can go in and you can see, you can write a review by just clicking on this, but then you can see how people have rated it. So 35 people rated this 10 out of 10, 44 people rated it 9 out of 10, and then it goes down from there. If you click on this little arrow here, you can see what people are saying about this book. People have taken the time to write a review so that you can see what's happening with that. All of this is now going to be reported over to Library Reads as votes for these particular titles. So if you're part of the Library Reads community and you've taken the time to write a review, and I would absolutely encourage you to write a review. Again, the publishers are providing these review copies for you as a courtesy because they want to hear what you have to say about these books. So please, even if you don't write anything about it, although again, Rebecca and I definitely encourage you to write something about the book, at least give it a rating so that you know, the publishers can say, you know, this is good, and you can see, you know, what's great about it. And you can see the latest review copies that are available here, and you can actually see which reviews that you have shared with the community, so it will keep track of all of your reviews. So all of that is really great information to be able to see. So that's about it as far as my portion of this. I hope I've made it easier for you to find those books, those hidden gems that you're going to want to see, and that you're going to want to nominate or you're going to want to review so that they get voted on for Library Reads. If you have any questions, by all means, just let me know. Again, my name is Jane White, and my email address is jane@abovthetreeline.com. And thank you very much for your attention, and have a great day.